Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about the AL and NL wildcard playoff games that just happened this week. And also last night was the first day of the start of the NHL season. This is the Allegedly Sports Podcast. Welcome back, guys. This is the Allegedly Sports Podcast. It's Tyler and Humna.
Hey.
There's not going to be a Wednesday show this week. Let's see, I had some family issues to deal with, and I also got very sick last night.
Very, very sick.
Yeah, so we're just going to skip that whole episode entirely. This is the 5th episode of this podcast. Sound about right?
It would have been the 6th, but I was we skipped one.
Yeah. We skipped Tuesday because I had some family business to attend, and we were going to record tomorrow, but after we got home, I was very, very sick. I slept basically the rest of the day.
Yeah, he was in and
out
if
I wasn't sleeping, I was just wishing I was sleeping, and I was like
almost threw up.
Laying on the bathroom floor.
Flashes. Both of us totally took a nap on the bathroom floor. Well, I was
in
at
the
the
hallway.
doorway,
Like,
and then you were in the bathroom.
I had to be on the bathroom floor. I think I just needed a hard surface to lay on. The bed, I wasn't getting comfortable in the bed, and I think I needed a hard surface to lay on. So the bathroom was the next best place because the toilet was also there.
Romantic hair videos.
This is not romantic talk. Vomiting and
you know what?
laying
I'm sorry.
on the bathroom
I've got
floor.
a week to figure out how I'm doing my hair and all of this. So you guys are going to hear me looking up videos on YouTube.
Yeah, multitasking. So we had the AL wildcard game happen on Tuesday night between the Twins and the Yankees, and I was at the hospital at the time, but I was watching updates, and I got the updates about Brian Dozier hitting a leadoff home run against Luis Severino. And then I got the next update about Eddie Rosario hit the next 2-run home run, and it was go pee, babe. And it was 3-0. It was 3-0 before even the end of the top of the first, and I had tweeted out, "Wow, that's
Oh, so that's what you were tweeting.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
I was like, everybody's, I was seeing these articles written about how the Twins can upset the Yankees and how the Yankees are going to overblow the Twins. But I thought, and this is a bad thing. A fan should never think the game is over right away. But, when you have a young guy like Luis Severino being chased out after not even an inning. He didn't even finish an inning. You get to the point where, wow, this is going to be a long game for the Yankees, and it's going to take a long time for Luis Severino to forget this one. But the Yankees came back. They tied it. After the second, they even chased Irvin Santana from the game after the second with Didi Gregorius's game-tying home run, and then Brett Gardner Greg Bird put the Yankees ahead. Brett Gardner and Aaron Judge ended up homering also in the game, and it ended in an 8-4 score. And it should be no surprise that the Yankees won. It was more surprising that the Twins got off to the start that they did against Luis Severino. And I think Luis Severino is very, very happy that his team got to where they did. David Robertson threw 3 1/3 innings, and the former White Sox had it all night, and it was very fun to rewatch that in replays. But it would have been really interesting to see the Twins take on the Cleveland Indians, division rivals. But the Twins have lost 13 straight playoff games. 13 straight. That's a stat that I wasn't ready to hear. It was very surprising to me. But after the Yankees did what they did to get to the playoffs in 2014, lost to the Astros, and then they missed last year, now they come back, and they have Luis Severino leading as their ace. They have CeCe Sabathia. They got Sonny Gray. In the bullpen, they got Tommy Kahnle, David Robertson, Chad Green. Dellin Betances, Aroldis Chapman. I think that the Yankees can go a really long way with their bullpen because that's how it's being done today. You had the Royals in 2015. That is the formula that got them their World Series championship is their bullpen. They're 7-8-9, but the Yankees have even more than that. They have, let's see, Chad Green is 1, David Robertson 2, Tommy Kahnle 3, Aroldis Chapman 4, Dellin Betances 5, and even more than that. And that was in no particular order because obviously Aroldis Chapman is looking at the closer role again after being kicked out during the regular season and being replaced for Dellin Betances. But the Yankees have a very strong pitching staff, and Sonny Gray gave up, I think, 6 runs in his last start in the his final game of the regular season. And we never know how CC Sabathia, he's either going to go out there and toss a gem or he's going to go out there and get kicked around. Same with Sonny Gray. He's been kind of trying to adapt to the New York style ever since coming over from Oakland. But that was the AL wildcard game. Welcome back, babe.
It's always funny when I see people I know, and then they just stare at me, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can stare back at you, too.
Who'd you see?
It was this girl in my ROTC class when I was in the bathroom.
Got you. So that was the AL wildcard game, and then I was switching back and forth between baseball, hockey, and basketball last night.
Yeah.
You had the Rockies and the Diamondbacks playing for the wild card. You had the Blues and the Penguins facing off on NBC Sports Network, and then you had Bulls Mavericks preseason game. I ended up falling asleep to basketball because every time I tried to switch back to baseball or hockey, it was always commercials, so I just turned basketball back on.
I know, and then you ended up falling asleep in general, and I was watching my anime.
And I was totally ready to watch the end of the NL wildcard game and then switch back after that one was done to watch the Flyers and the Sharks in late-night hockey after the Blues and the Penguins. But it's so weird with the NL wildcard game. I was really excited for this game because I always have like a little bit of a special place in my heart for teams like Colorado, any major sports team in Colorado or any major sports team in Arizona, because to me those are cities where it's more intimate in the fan base. They're not like huge cities. They are huge cities, but their sports have always been like they're really good or they're really bad. Mm-hmm. Like the Rockies, they have a tough time. Like they can be really, really good because there's always the altitude factor.
The what?
Altitude factor.
Like actual
like
altitude.
Altitude, because they're so much higher above sea level than the rest of us. Like
okay.
I've heard interviews when the Blackhawks go and play in Colorado, they say it's a lot harder because they run out of breath faster because of how high up they are. Okay. And home runs are more susceptible to come across in Colorado because the air conditions in Colorado are much different than a place who's much lower
that would
to
make
the
sense.
ground. So, like that's why they say it's hard to judge how good a player is if they're playing in Colorado because they might just have the altitude working with them rather than against them. And it's hard to pitch in Colorado too. But this game last night was in Arizona. I really wanted to be there. I really want to go to Arizona. I was really jealous not being there, but you could tell. And it's always fun to see these games and these crowds grow when it comes playoff time because every seat is taken up. And in Arizona, that was no different. You had John Gray and Zach Greinke pitching against each other. And I was ready for Arizona to take bat because I knew that it was going to be fun to listen to the crowd. And, of course, they knocked around John Gray, the Colorado Rocky rookie. And it was Paul Goldschmidt who got the 3-run home run in the top of the first. And I thought, after he kept getting knocked around, I thought Bud Black should...
What do you mean knocked around?
Like for hits.
Oh, okay. For
hits. They kept hitting his pitches. Like he was throwing strikes, he was just throwing really bad strikes that they could hit. Basically down the middle of the plate. And there were like 4 triples last night altogether. But I thought Bud Black should have pulled John Gray, and I think it was second inning, and it was 2 on, 1 out, and both runners were in scoring position, which is second and third base. I thought after that runner got on second base, I thought John Gray should have been pulled because I just didn't think he had it in him to get the rest of the outs. And I thought if the Diamondbacks could score those two, it'd be 5-0 really early. And that's much different from the AL wildcard game where it was 3-0, and they pulled Luis Severino and ended up coming back in the game and winning. But I thought if the Diamondbacks could make it 5-0 that early, it would really screw the Rockies. Not like it mattered. The Diamondbacks still won, but they made it really close. At one point, the game was 8-7. But I think the game final score ended in like 11-7 Arizona. But I knew right off the crack of the bat when Paul Goldschmidt.
The crack of the bat.
Crack of the bat. That's what they say. Crack of the bat. When he swung and hit that ball. I thought at first it looked like it was going to be a fly ball. But at the same time, I had a lot more hope that it was going to be a home run, and it was. So the Diamondbacks will move on, and let's see, who are they facing? Oh, it was 11-8. They're going to face the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers.
I keep missing it, but what do you think? It's braided.
What do you mean it's braided?
Because I keep missing it, so you can't really see it, because then she puts on these ugly-ass bangs, and it was like the hairstyle was good without the bangs. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to multitask here. And it kind of just ruins the whole little hairstyle.
Can't really see it in that picture.
I know, because...
I'm going to see if I can pull up...
Imagine it without the bangs, though.
Without the bangs.
Yeah, because I try and braid the little pieces in my hair. Okay.
I have to think about it. I got to get in a real mental state of thinking. I'm going to see if I can pull up the stat sheet with Diamondbacks versus Dodgers, because the Diamondbacks have a huge...
Now, why are they called the Diamondbacks?
It's a good question. I don't really know the story behind it. But their logo is like a snake, kind of, like a rattle snake. And I think that might be... I'm going to look that up first.
Sorry,
what is a Diamondback?
Curious.
A Diamondback is a large common North American rattlesnake with a diamond-shaped marking. So, yeah, it's a snake, which is what I thought, but I didn't want to sound stupid just associating their logo with their name. But it makes sense. But I've always loved the Diamondbacks uniforms.
What do they look like?
I don't know, but I liked them before.
I don't know.
Well, I do know, but I can't. It's hard to explain. I'll just show you a picture. I liked them before the recent uniform change, but after the recent uniform change, I liked it even better, and a lot of people didn't. But I love the colors, and you'll see why, because there's a color in there that I really love, and you
blue.
know. It's a certain type of blue.
Turquoise? Your hair is so nappy now.
Here.
Ooh. I like this one.
First one?
Yeah.
I really like that red, but you see the purple and the teal. And they added the teal to like this one and this one. I really, really like that color. But I like their Diamondback red too, and I really like their hats. Always loved their throwback uniforms.
Don't you like the fact that Adidas is making socks? I don't know. You was telling me something when we went to
the NHL uniforms?
Yeah.
I don't really know how I feel about the NHL uniforms now. Some of them have changed a little bit more than others, but the way Adidas makes them is a little different. I like how they look. Some of them I'm skeptical about how they look, because they look simple, but they look a little too simple and a little out there. I don't like what the Colorado Avalanche are doing with their uniforms. I never liked the old style. Like, they went back to a uniform style that they had, like, before the last one that they had, like, back in the 90s, early 2000s. When they first came to Colorado, and I didn't really like it. Looks like kind of a star. Here, I'll look it up. Okay, so it's like kind of yeah. So that was like when they first came in the league in the mid 90s, early 2000s. Now, how Adidas is making them, they're kind of coming back.
That looks like a fidget spinner on her head.
See, this is the new jersey.
No.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, no.
And I never liked the star-looking points at the bottom. I thought those just... I didn't think they made sense. I know what they're doing. It's supposed to be like, and this shows it way better. It's supposed to be like a mountain.
Yeah, I got that.
And I never saw it that way when the players were wearing it. I never saw it that way. I thought it looked like more of a star type thing, triangles at the bottom. And I always saw them pointing down rather than outlining the mountains upwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think they look stupid.
It's not a good look for them.
Now, their alternate uniforms, their third jersey, I like that. I like the blue and the maroon.
Like anything blue.
But I wish they had just stayed with what they had last year, because this is like their third uniform change, and I guess
now do teams change their uniforms often?
Not often. I mean, they change them probably. I don't know. There's no real set time for how uniforms change. It's just when a bunch of teams start to like update and modernize how their uniforms are. That's when teams usually do it. And I always said the next team that should probably do it is the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think they are ready for a uniform change. And I thought with Adidas making their new uniforms, I thought the Columbus would take that opportunity to do that, but they didn't.
So who's making theirs?
Adidas is making all the all the uniforms.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I thought, because you could see it, some teams took the opportunity to change.
Oh, so they're not changing, but
to like make a new look.
Mm-hmm.
The Columbus Blue Jackets did not take that opportunity, and I really thought they would. But usually when new uniforms come out, I'm always skeptical. I'm always like, I need to see this in action. When the San Jose Sharks came out with their new uniforms a few years ago, I thought they looked too blah and nothing to them. Now I really like them. They're not bad.
Not bad.
They're not bad. So let's see if I can pull up that Diamondbacks Dodgers stat line. I think the series goes like 11 wins and 8 losses to in favor of the Diamondbacks.
Is that good?
Well, it's I don't know, for the Diamondbacks it is, because they won the series in the regular season, and I know the run differential is like 99 runs versus 70-something runs total over the whole season series. So, I don't know. This looks like it's in favor of the Diamondbacks, and that wouldn't be a surprise because the Dodgers are a very poor playoff team whenever they get there. They've won.
Then how do they get there?
Well, they're really, really good in the regular season. Like,
they just suck at the playoffs.
Yeah, basically, because that's how it is for some teams. Some teams just can't do it in a 5 or 7 game series.
Right, but okay, so explain the difference between the regular and then the playoffs.
Well, the regular season, there's 162 games that you get to compete and win, and basically, the Dodgers won over.
So is it like less pressure for them?
Yeah, because you have 162 games to compete for the playoffs. In the NLDS, which is the National League Division Series, or the ALDS, American League Division Series, this is a series of 5 games. So you only have 5 games, and you have to win 3 of them. So you're pressured in less games.
Mm-hmm.
Over 162 games, you have time.
Why do they stop trying to make it to the playoffs if they know they're going to suck?
Because if you don't make it to the playoffs, there's no point to your season.
Mm.
I mean, some teams play that way. Some teams play to, what's it called? What is that word I'm looking for? Not redevelop, rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams rebuild. That's what the Cubs did over their 5-year. Like, they had a 5-year plan. Like, they came out and said, we're gonna suck. We're gonna suck really bad, but we're gonna build over these 5 years to get to the World Series, and they did, and it worked. And teams are doing that now, where they're like trading all of their star players, and they're just cleaning house on everything just to acquire young prospects that they can build that will help their team in the future. And I think the Diamondbacks did a good job of that. I think the Dodgers have done an okay job of that. Neither team have really rebuilt, but they've kind of grown their own way. The Dodgers with new owners. You had a hairstyle like that before, like in that one picture where you had your hair flipped like this.
Yeah, that's how it, normally Brenda does my hair, and she always does this side because I always end up.
Why don't you do that?
Because that requires me to have to sit at Brenda's house.
But that also requires you to finally get to Brenda's house and get your camera.
I know. Okay, so that's an option.
We're going to have to go there anyways.
I know, but I don't know how, because normally it takes maybe almost an hour for her to do my hair. And you know Brenda, she's going to talk and talk and talk.
Well, heck, I might just drop you off and run. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'd stay. Don't worry. Although I'd hope she wouldn't give me a lecture.
You know she would. She's going to give the both of us a lecture.
I'll be
if
like,
I have to stay and get my hair done, she's lecturing the both of us.
I'll be like, mm-hmm.
She's going to be like, did you talk to your mama yet?
Mm-hmm.
I did. Did we have that discussion yet? No, but we're talking on a friendly term.
I wish she would just stay out of it.
She can't.
I know she can't. But I wish she wouldn't, pressure us to do anything. She can talk. That's fine.
But like I said, it doesn't even bother me.
Well, it bothers me. Because it's she doesn't even know.
Okay, then. That's why it shouldn't bother you.
She doesn't even know, babe.
Okay, moving on.
I don't know what I was moving on to.
We were still talking,
Let's
shit,
see.
I don't know. I'm trying to listen to you.
What are my predictions? My predictions is that the Cleveland Indians are going to win.
How come the Sox didn't play yesterday? Oh, you said they didn't make it to playoffs.
They didn't make it to the playoffs.
How come they didn't make it?
Because they suck.
And I told you to stop rooting for them.
You can't do that, babe.
Yes, you can.
I've been watching the Sox for a while now. And when no team has ever made me, I mean, I guess the Blackhawks have, but I have gotten pissed over the Sox. I have been this team has made me feel things I can't. And they've pretty much stunk since I've got into baseball just a few years ago. And I can't. They're a team that I can relate with. The Blackhawks are a team that I can relate with. The Bears are a team that I can relate with, even though I've had trouble with them. But I've screamed at the TV for the Bears, which means I'm that's what makes you know that they're your team. The Bulls, on the other hand, are the one that I'm having a hard time relating to. Honestly.
So you can get with any other Chicago team except...
Yes. I've tried, and it's so hard to relate. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I'm trying again. I watched them last night.
You fell asleep to them. You didn't even pay attention.
I was watching.
You fell asleep.
I was watching, the first half. And then I fell asleep probably the second half. You're probably right about that.
Because it was still playing. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to this while I'm looking up stuff.
Come on. I mean...
The only time I've watched basketball is to go see my uncle play when he was in Iowa.
All of the Chicago teams are basically in a rebuild except for the Cubs because they just finished theirs. And the Blackhawks because they finished theirs a while back and they still got time left before they even have to think about doing that again. Even though it kind of looked like that's what they were going to have to do, they don't have to go into a full rebuild mode. So last night was the first night of the official NHL season. You had Toronto, Winnipeg, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh, Calgary and Edmonton, Philadelphia and San Jose. Pretty good matchups all around. You had two Canadian teams going against each other, Western and Eastern. A lot of Western and Eastern matchups, Western and Eastern Conference. St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Philadelphia and San Jose, the only one, but it was still a nice rivalry, was Calgary and Edmonton. Connor McDavid, of course, goes out there and scores a hat trick. 3 goals, the only 3 goals to be scored in the game. He's a phenom. It's
What's
crazy.
That?
A phenom?
Mm-hmm.
He's a young guy. He's only 20 years old. He's already the captain of this whole entire franchise. That's something huge to be proud about. A historic franchise at that. And he's scoring all the goals like he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Toronto and Winnipeg. Toronto just blew Winnipeg out of their own stadium, 7-2. I'm very surprised the Penguins came out the way they did.
Penguins, your favorite animals.
They used to be my favorite team. They did. And then I lost touch with them.
Because they suck.
Well, no, not because they suck. Because I don't live in Pittsburgh, so it's hard for me to watch their games. I always watch Blackhawks games because I'm here in Chicago. I don't get Penguins games unless I paid to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, we don't.
So I was just like, and it was so relatable for me to just watch the Blackhawks. So it was easier for me to kind of switch away from the Penguins. But I was really surprised that the Penguins came out the way they did. They did score 4 goals, which is really good, but they also gave up 5 and lost in overtime on their Stanley Cup banner raising night. So I was really disappointed in that. I thought the banner was really cool looking. It looked different than most traditional banners, the way they go. It's kind of a new look for a modern era. Then you had Philadelphia and San Jose play late night. Philadelphia coming out and beating the San Jose Sharks 5-3. And there's a guy, Humna. He's 45 years old. He's been playing since like 1990. Let's see, what year is it? 2017?
Mm-hmm.
How many years is that?
I don't know. I don't do mental math.
Let's see, that's 10, 20. He's been playing for like 27 years now. Most players only play for like 20, 21. He's been playing for like 27. Now, granted, he hasn't been in the NHL all that time. He missed like 3 years to go play overseas in Russia.
Russia has...
Russia has like a huge league, and Sweden, places like they have international leagues that you can play in. The KHL is a really big league. But it's crazy that this guy, he's come back and basically had a whole nother half of his career, because he played in Pittsburgh, and then he went to New York, to Washington. He played in those 3 areas. Now, after he came back from Russia, he went to Philadelphia, moved on to Boston, then he went to Jersey, to Dallas, to Florida. Now he's in Calgary. This guy's played everywhere. And he's like...
He's getting some good money.
Well, he is. He just signed another... For... Basically, he said this is going to be his last season, which is kind of sad because he seems like he's just been going to play and play and play. But there's been... I think Chris Chelios didn't retire until he was in his 50s or something like that. So... it was really cool to see him finally play. He's never played for a Canadian team until now. But he's just basically... He's not even trying to play to win anymore. He's just playing to play. Like, I
think you should.
Well, yeah, but most players try to sign places where they think they have the best chance.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess it's more like just like, I'm going to relax until I retire.
Yeah, because he's already won cups.
Right.
He hasn't won one since he came back. He's been traded to a few teams that have like tried, like where he's been that player that a team has acquired to get like a playoff veteran who knows the playoffs, because teams try to do that at the trade deadline where they'll acquire a very older guy to lead the team and experience, and like, hey, this is how he's basically the team therapist for younger people who don't know how to handle this. But I think that's I thought he was going to finish in Florida. Like, of course, Florida has no taxes. He was getting all the money. He wasn't being taxed.
Florida has no taxes?
No, they don't do income tax like that.
Let's find a school in Florida, babe.
I know, that would be nice. Yeah, Florida doesn't do it like that. I'm sure they have taxes, but they don't do like...
I'm serious.
Income tax. I'll try.
If you looked in Arizona, you better look in Florida.
I'll try.
Okay.
I think Texas is the same way, too.
That's too hot for me.
Florida's pretty hot, babe. Yeah.
I'm not doing Texas. I don't like any of these videos. We might go to Brenda. My head is going to be sore. You don't understand, because you don't get braided, let alone by a black woman who's heavy-handed. But for those of y'all that listen, get your hair braided by a black woman who's heavy-handed, your head is sore. It hurts. Bad.
I don't know. Never had my hair braided.
We should have Brenda braid your hair.
No.
She can totally do it.
No, she'd probably hurt me intentionally.
No, she wouldn't. She knows I love you. Would.
So does your mom, but that didn't change a thing.
That's a different subject.
Maybe.
I don't like any of these hairstyles. At all.
I think that's where I'm going to end the episode today because we have a very busy day.
We do.
We got out of class early. We got this room early. So we're going to get moving with our day. Thanks for listening. This is the Friday episode. This is the Allegedly Sports Podcast.
See ya.